What does the variable A represent? The growth or decay factor, the independent variable, the initial value, the dependent variable. So good. I think one team just got it wrong. A is always your starting amount. The constant that's being multiplied is your starting amount. All right. Which exponential function represents the relationship shown in the table? So writing the equation from a table, that's been the struggle lately. Take notes as we go too, maybe copy down the table. So again, this is the skill that you work on it every day and still people get it wrong. So listen closely. Exponential functions have that equation. A times b to the x or something equivalent. A represents what? The initial amount. So I'll pull up the table again. What is my starting amount? 4. So all the ones that don't have 4 in the A position should not be an option to you. So that eliminates yellow and green. So the constant, the one without the exponent, is always your starting amount. Starting amount is always whenever x is 0. Make sense? Or your y-intercept. Now the other part is what you're multiplying by to get the next number. I feel like these are equivalent, right? I don't know why it marked the blue one wrong. Oh, like you had to pick both correct answers? Yeah. Oh, so if you didn't pick both, that's why you got it wrong. Think about like on the test when it says select all that are correct. You have to pick both. Because okay, I don't know why. I don't know why I did that. But it's definitely, maybe they did it wrong. I don't know. It's definitely red and blue. So sorry if they marked me wrong. Now how to figure out what you're multiplying by to get the next number? Because it might not be multiple choice on your quiz or test. How do I figure out what B is? What does B represent? Stop talking if you're not answering my question. So B is your common ratio. How did I tell you you can find your common ratio? Divide what? My y's, yes, I do divide them. Is it going to be 4 divided by 1? What do I divide them? All right, come on. So, what do I divide? 1/4. So the rule for common ratio is that it's found by dividing a term by its previous term. So since only like one person was able to tell me what I accurately divide by, then you should all write that down. Common ratio is found by dividing a term by its previous term. So 4 doesn't have a previous term, so pick a different one. What's its previous term? What comes before the 1? 4. So that's my common ratio, or 0.25. Put in the calculator. If you took a different number, 0.25 was that one's previous term. 0.25 divided by 1 is no. 0.25 divided by 1 is 0.25. All right, that's what I'm multiplying by each time to get the next number. Make sense? 0.25 times 0.25 gives me this. But to find your common ratio, what your B should be, it's that way. Make sense? Any questions? Aiden? You'll be after, I can't remember who most, oh, you'll be after Audrey. All right, which function can be used to find the number of bacteria present at the end of H hours? So there's 1,000 bacteria in a petri dish. The number of the bacteria increases 20% each hour. So you could use your traditional exponential function as a model, but whenever they give you a percent, it might be better to use the one that has where instead of B, it has like 1 plus or minus R. So that one, is this growing or decreasing? All right, so increasing means growth. So use the 1 for growth. That's the one that's A parentheses 1 plus R to the T power. A is for, A means what? What is my initial amount? So any that doesn't have 1,000 as the constant would not be included in the answer. 1 plus my growth rate as a decimal. What is it growing by? Growing by 20%, which yes, it is 0.2. Close parentheses. And then to the T power, doesn't really specify what time it wants us to look at. The T. So then, looking at our answer option, it's not red because if the exponent is smaller than 1, that would be decay, not growth. Again, not this one because the exponent is, or the one with the exponent is smaller than 1, so that would be decay, not growth. This one is close, but the initial amount should never have the exponent on it. So then that means green is red. Good, any questions? Sorry, was that a question about this? All right, that's what I thought. So moving on. Which choice best describes the relationship when B is greater than 1? Exponential growth or exponential decay? Remember taking up the video. All right, we just talked about this. So here's some notes you could take down that might help you remember that. What's the formula if it's growth? 1 plus R, close parenthesis to the T power. That's for growth. For decay, what's the formula? It's the same, but instead it's 1 minus R, and then to the T power. So if that's why if B is greater than 1, it's growth, because obviously the growth rate was added to 1. That would make it greater than 1. If it was smaller than 1, B being less than 1, it would be decayed because it would have been subtracted from the 1. Questions? All right, so then on to the next one. Take notes as we go.
You were the first, but she was wrong.
All right, in the f of x equals a times b to the x, which choice represents the independent variable? Independent variable, what are some other synonyms for that we use in math? The x's, good. There's more. Not the y. That would be your dependent variable. X's, what else do we call the x's? Inputs, what else? We also say that it's usually time of some sort. All right, all of those are independent. So the x, the inputs, whatever is talking about time or number of something, that's your independent variable. Questions? All right. What function can be used to find the number of salamanders left at the end of n years? Which function can be used to find the number of salamanders left at the end of n years? When you have problems like this, it's probably good to figure out if it's growing or decaying. So which one? So in that case, and they also give me like a percentage versus saying that it's halving or quartering or anything like that. In that case, I'd probably rather use that decay function I showed you that looks like this. I couldn't really eliminate any answers right off the bat because all of the answers with the exponent attached were smaller than 1. Usually you can eliminate like 1 or 2 based off of just growth or decay. So you actually have to be able to plug it in. A stands for initial amount. In this one, it is 50,000. That's what they're starting with. It's going to be 1 minus the decay rate as a decimal. How do I convert 3% to a decimal? Good. 3% divided by 100% is what? 0.03, not 0.3. That would be 30%. We want 3%. So 1 minus 0.03 to the t power, or in this case is n. Sometimes they work it out, the 1 minus 0.03, and then they put that in the parentheses with 1 minus 0.03. 0.97. Feel free to check that in your calculator if you don't believe me, but only one team got it right. So hopefully you're all taking really good notes. You could take pictures if you need to. The Kahoot is in the slides, or at least it will be later if you missed anything. Okay. Next one. Which function represents a $5,000 investment with an annual return of 4% on the investment? Which function represents an annual return of 4% on the investment? I'm glad it's starting to trend in like the better direction, like we're getting more people getting the answers right. You should be able to eliminate a few answers based on whether it's growth or decay. So would the $5,000 increase or decrease if the annual return is 4%? Increase. Okay, so usually when you invest money, I mean, sometimes you lose money, but if it says you have an annual return of 4%, that means you're gaining money. So anything that would have a minus after the 1 should be eliminated because that would be decay, not growth. Same with like if it's attached to the exponent and it's less than 1, that's decay, not growth. All right, initial amount, 1 plus the growth rate as a decimal, 4% as a decimal is 0.04, or if they combine that already, it'd be 1.04. Question? All right. So multi-select, which function represents a $2,000 investment with annual losses of 1% on the investment? Which function represents a $2,000 investment with annual losses of 1% on the investment? Alright, everyone got it right except one team forgot to pick both correct answers.
I'm sorry.
Alright, remember multi-select means select all that are correct. So is losing 1% growth or decay? So yes, it is decay. So then the number attached to the exponent should be smaller than 1. So that's why it's red and yellow. Good? All right. Next one. Which choice best describes the relationship when B is between 0 and 1? That's what that means. 0 less than B less than 1. All right, good. When B is between 0 and 1, that's what that means. It's decaying. Questions there? All right, here's the tiebreaker. Which describes your understanding of writing exponential growth and decay function? So that might not actually be the tiebreaker, sorry. Are you an expert? Do you need more practice? Are you getting there? Okay, so that's the poll. All right, questions, comments, concerns? So that's our lesson 11. Make sure you have, like, you really should have all 10 spaces filled, but. All right, table 2, you can come get a prize. Just one. No. So then work on your practices now, okay? You should have all of them through 11 done.